Enculturation is the process of building in responsivity and ultimately responsibility, the ability to respond to a particular call. And we then have appropriately enculturated ourselves when we can respond to our own culture and to our own values and to our own needs. One other thing here then, as we rapidly bring these things to a close, we have to look at personality in this light as well. We think our personality is ours. You must recognize, ladies and gentlemen, that the human being is a social animal. We exist in society. We exist in groups. We are born dependent, not independent. We have long periods of dependency. And it is the social relationship between ourselves and our mothers and ourselves and our group that protects us during our long periods of dependency. And in a sense, we never quite get over our dependency and need for one another. And so consequently, we are social animals, and we must then respond to social situations. Our personalities, because they may be our personality, does not mean that they are not inculcated with a social spirit, and they're not designed for a social end. In other words, the individual exists for the social unit, not for himself. We see individuality as something that is just for ourselves. Why are we individuals? We are individuals to a great extent because when our culture and our group confronts problems, we want to maximize the possibility that we will solve those problems by the fact that different individuals look at those problems in different ways, and they can contribute their particular perspective to the group, and those perspectives can be used as a means for solving the problem for the group. So even individuals are there to strengthen the group. You see, if all the people in the society thought just alike and saw the world just alike, they thought no differently one from the other, the society would be soon defeated because it would be uncreative. It would not be innovative. It would not be able to change its perspective of a problem in a way so that it can solve it. So what does it do then? It creates individuals. It's like the reasons why we have genetic variations. We say no matter how intense a plague may be in a nation or a people, there are always one or two people left standing. Because in some way or another, their genetic structure has permitted them to withstand the plague. And as long as we got a few of those survivors left, and as long as they can reproduce, the race continues and goes on. But if the race had all exactly the same genetic structure, then a plague would wipe out the total race and the species would cease to exist. And the same thing then operates in terms of differences in personalities. We differ in personality ultimately because these differences contribute to the survival of the species. And therefore our differences are here to maintain the whole. So the main problem of a society is to maintain enough cohesion so people can act together and behave together and act in synchrony one with the other and cooperate with each other, but not be too overly organized so that they cannot bring their own creative perspectives to problems and issues. You see, and this becomes the problem of society. So there must always be that tension between being in the society and obeying its rules, but being a little bit off so that we can say, hey, maybe if you look at it this way, we can work it out and we can deal with it this way. So the personality itself must carry the element of society within itself. But the thing we must note, that personality, consciousness, and culture are cultural creations. And the type of culture that people exhibit and the type of consciousness we exhibit and the type of personality we exhibit reflects the type of history and experience we've undergone as people. When you let another people then be the determiner of your history and experience, they then become the determiners of your consciousness, of your personality, and of your culture. Ultimately, we must recognize that we use consciousness to deal with the world. Culture is an adaptive tool. It's an instrument by which we deal with reality, by which we adapt to reality, and by which we adapt reality to ourselves. The kind of consciousness we have will determine how we deal with reality. Consciousness then will, in the fact that it determines how we are going to deal with reality, how we change reality, then is a power. Because ultimately, power is about enabling something to take place. The ability to do something. The ability to change something. The ability to adapt. The ability to defend oneself. The ability to change oneself in order to solve a problem. This is what culture is about. Culture is not static. Culture is not stuck in one place. Culture itself must reconstruct itself if the system in which it exists is reconstructed and rearranged. That is why some of us get in trouble, because we want to find an African culture stuck somewhere back in the 13th century and want to apply it to ourselves at this point in a different context. African culture is not a culture stuck in place and time. African culture is constantly changing and evolving because the context in which African people live changes and evolves. What makes it African culture is that it operates in the interest of African people. It is designed to advance African people. And therefore, the consciousness must be measured in terms of the degree to which it maintains our survival and advances our interests and puts us at the center of our concerns and at the center of our purposes. When then we talk about black culture, make sure we're not talking about a reactionary culture, a culture that has been generated by our reaction to our abuse by white folk and to our control and domination of white folk. Because it's a good part of what we call black culture that we need to exorcise from our psyches so that we can evolve a culture and an African-centered culture to advance our interests as a people. Another very important aspect then of consciousness is what we call values. Those things that we prefer, those things that we see as right, those things that we think we should need, those things, the pursuit of which determines our behavior, organizes our minds. Values are what I call the directional factors of consciousness. What are we talking about here? When you value something, and that value is implanted in your brain, the brain calls forth all of its resources, all of the contents that it has, the knowledge it has available to it, the behavioral skills it has available to it, the cognitive skills, the thinking skills and things like that that it has available to it, and organizes those things and relates those things one to each other in such a way that the value can be achieved. When we then think about something that we value and we want to realize something that we value, we consciously or unconsciously assess our minds and say, do I have the relevant knowledge? Do I have the relevant skills? Do I have the relevant thinking and cognitive skills so that we can organize these knowledge and skills in a way that we can achieve those values? If we believe we have those skills, if we believe we have the content, if we appropriately organize those contents through thought, then we pursue those values. And chances are we may realize those values. If though we have those values and we assess ourselves, we recognize that we don't have the appropriate skills, we don't have the appropriate knowledge and content, we don't have the appropriate thought styles and so forth, we then say, well, maybe we should develop the requisite skills. Maybe we should learn the requisite knowledge. Maybe we should develop the means of thinking. And once we do this, we will then organize them in a way to achieve our values. Once we then have values and are guided by values, and those values guide those skills and contents and so forth, we are empowered to realize those values. And therefore, values are a type of power. Where am I going with this? I'm going with this to say this. If values are a type of power, if values are the things that guide our behavior, if culture is a type of power, and consciousness is a type of power, and personality is a type of power, if we let another people determine the nature of our consciousness, our personality, and our values, they then gain power over us. If consciousness, culture, personality, and values are instruments of power, they then use our consciousness, our values, our culture as their instruments of power. How does this work out in reality? They take our cultural products, our music, our song, and use them as their instruments of power. Yes, and benefit from them. So then, what is an African-centered consciousness? An African-centered consciousness is one that is based on African-centered content, based on African-centered knowledge, based on African-centered values, based on an African-centered consciousness. To the degree that our consciousness is based on African-centered values and so forth, we are empowered as African people. To the degree those values and consciousness are determined by other people, we become their instruments of power, and they use us against ourselves. So consequently, if we are to be empowered, and if our power is to work in our interests, then our consciousness must be an African consciousness. Our values must be African values. Our personality must be an African-based personality. If not, we may suffer first ethnocide and then genocide. What are we saying? It means that our culture will not be functional in a way that it protects our interests. We must then, as a people, develop a new African consciousness, an African-centered consciousness, and that means we must develop it based on an African history, African culture, and African values. Most of all, we must develop an African sense of nationhood. To a great extent, many of the problems we suffer today is a result of the fact that we do not see ourselves as a nation. And yet, we complain about how we are segregated from everybody else. We complain about how we are not a part of the mainstream, how we are not a part of the economy, how we are shut out from the government and the political process. If we are not a part of these things, and yet these things are what defines a nation, then we are not a part of the American nation. That nation is a white nation. We are then, in effect, a de facto nation, but we are afraid to recognize it. If we looked at ourselves as a nation, we'd see many of the reasons why we are where we are as a people. Why? Because if we looked at ourselves as a nation, we would see why we have the problems we have. Why do we have some of the problems we have? For the same reason other African nations have the problems they have. Why? Because we permit our resources, human resources and material resources, to be used by another people. We export them. We, like any other African nation, are an indebted nation. We are over-indebted. When we talk about the African nation suffering from being overburdened by debt, we don't recognize we're talking about ourselves. When I ask here tonight, how many of us owes another black institution, another black person major debt, we would get very few hands. But if I ask how many of us in this audience tonight owed a white person, a white institution, a non-African institution, great debts, we probably all have to raise our hands. If you recognize that then, and you add this up in terms of a nation, not if you, just yourself as an individual, but if you look at all of us as individuals and in terms of a nation, then that as a nation, we owe an enormous debt to other people. And one of the reasons why then we are poverty-stricken is not because we don't have money. It's because all of our money is being used to service the debt that other nations own, that the white nation in America owns. And because we spend so much time paying our installment plans and paying our money out to these other nations of people, we cannot save our monies, we cannot accumulate our money and create wealth so that we can employ ourselves as a people, so that we can support our families as a people, so that we cannot build the schools we need to build to educate our children the way we need to educate them as a people. And consequently, we have the similar problems that all African nations have almost, where they cannot build highways or build schools or build hospitals or build institutions, communication systems and other systems, because all of the wealth that they are generating is being exported out to European nations and other nations to whom they owe debt. But you can only see this when you look at yourself as a nation. And when you look at yourself as a nation, then you can see that you can change this problem by changing the debt relationship you have to other people. I was looking at an issue here the other day when we were talking about looking at African nations, and we talk about the African nations as monocultures, meaning that they often exist by shipping out one or two major products, cocoa or cocoa beans or oil or gold or something like that. And they ship these products out into what we call a buyer's market. That is, the people they sell these products to set the prices that they're going to pay for these products. So that many of these nations now are being paid less for their products than they were paid 30 years ago. And yet the nations that buy their products and lower the prices on their products are selling them back those products in processed form and selling them back their own products that have been manufactured here for higher and higher prices. And then we wonder why Africa is in debt and why Africa is impoverished. But that is the result of the fact that they are caught up in an impoverishing mechanism. But we need not talk about the continental African because we are in the same situation here today. The African American nation is a monoculture. What is the commodity that we sell? Labor. We're not selling much manufacturing. We're not selling much other products. The major commodity that we have to sell was the commodity that we were bought over here for in the first place. And what was that? Labor. And now we are selling our labor in a buyer's market, meaning that the people who buy our labor are buying it at the prices they set. And they keep devaluing the price that they're willing to pay for our labor. On top of devaluing the price, they're no longer even demanding the labor. So after a while, we won't be able to sell our labor at any price. And we will then be totally deprived as a people. And therefore, we are caught in a similar position. And just as there's social disorganization in our African nations, there's social disorganization in the American nation. You cannot have your wealth flowing out of your nation. You cannot enrich other people at the expense of yourself and not have social disorganization. And that means then, if we look at ourselves as a nation, The African American nation must do what all African nations must do. We must capture our own internal resources. We must gain control of our own internal markets. We must trade within ourselves as a people and a group and generate wealth within our own nation as a means of counterbalancing our dependence upon Europeans and upon the white nation itself. But in order to do this, we must have a nation consciousness. We must now organize and relate to ourselves as a nation of people. When we look at our relationship, we say to the Koreans as a nation, we see the same relationship that Japan has to America as a nation. You notice that they are bargaining right now, negotiating, right? Japan is building up its resources. It is blocking out U.S. industry from its nation, yet it is entering into the American markets and selling there and taking out the wealth of the American markets. If we look at our relationship to Koreans, to Dominicans, to other groups, we'll see the same relationship, where those groups can enter into the African American nation, set up shop, ship out its wealth day by day and night by night, and yet the African American entrepreneurial nation is not permitted to set up shop in their midst, is not permitted to carry wealth from their nations. And they then grow fat on the surplus that they gain from the African American nation. This means then that if we think of ourselves as a nation, we must protect our internal markets from the intrusion of outsiders. We must not permit them entry into our nation. As I look and I see down the 125th streets, yes, and look at our people locked outside there in the outside, and some people claim that they are protesting this kind of thing. I agree with our vendors there that if black men and black women cannot make a living on that street, then no other people should be permitted to make a living on that street. We are not obligated in any kind of way to feed the children of other people before we feed our own. But it's only if you think in terms of nationhood that you can resolve this kind of problem. We have tremendous possibilities as a black nation that we don't know where. You can see these white boys over there pursuing China, don't you? Right? They're over to China, knocking over each other to get to it. What is the China market worth to the European? You know what the China market is worth to the European? $500 billion at this point. Do you know what the black market is worth to the European here in America? $400 billion. Our market is worth as much as the Chinese market, the Mexican market, which they've drawn up to bring in NAFTA. It is worth as much and is worth more than the market of Canada. We are not able to place conditions on their entry into our markets by saying if you enter here, you are going to pay taxes. If you enter here, you're going to leave something here. If you enter here, you're going to leave money in the institutions. You're going to contribute to our schools. You're going to contribute to our recreational centers. You're going to contribute to the employment of our people and to the stability of our families. If you cannot contribute to these things, if you cannot create jobs, if you cannot contribute to the education of our people, then we cannot permit you to operate within our borders. This is the way a nation runs. You don't let another people walk in and have their way and walk out and leave you impoverished as a people in the name of a free market. There's no such thing as a free market. Yeah. That's white folks' propaganda. Free and open market. No free market. They force people into their market. Castro was not free to say, I don't want to be a part of it. When he said, I don't want to be a part of it, they did what? Embargoed him and locked him out. The Japanese in the early part of the century said, we don't want to be a part of your market. What did the United States do? Sent Admiral Perry in there and blasted those markets open. What free markets do you have there? There are no such things as free markets. And when you learn that, you're going to be the better for it. And we got the markets, but we are not taking advantage of them. We've gotten ourselves in a situation where we are locked out of other people's markets, and we permit them into our own, such that we are locked out of our own market. And then we wonder why we suffer the way we do. It is not because we are poor. If we were that poor and impoverished, then why do those people come to us to earn their living and their wealth? It means then we must be a wealthy people. I was looking over here at a recent report. You see, we have, as a people, everything that it needs to make a nation. We have telephones, fax machines, computers, highways, bridges, riverways, waterways, trucks, everything that many nations in the world, in fact, the vast majority of nations in the world, wish that they had available to them what the African American nation has available to it. They wish they had the highways. They wish they had the trucks. They wish they had the trains. They wish they had the ships. They wish they had the computers, the telephone, and all of those kinds of things that you can just pick up and dial right away, and they don't have to be routed through France or somewhere else. The lights don't go off at 2 o'clock every day or just flip on and off. You got it all here. Then why then are we not better off than we are? Because it is not enough. As I told you earlier, it is not enough to have gold in your soil, or oil in your soil, or diamonds in your soil. You must have a consciousness. It is only with an appropriate consciousness that these things can be transformed and converted into what? Wealth and power, and can be used for the advancement of a people and the survival of a people. The same is true here then. You cannot just have telephones and faxes and this and that and not just have money in your pocket. That's not enough. You must have a consciousness that transforms those phones and transforms those faxes into a communications network that unites a people across regions and places and cities and becomes a basis for a system of distribution, a basis for uniting and creating a market from which one earns wealth to feed one's family and to stabilize one's social situation. But you can have all of these things, but if you don't have a sense of nation, if you don't have a group consciousness, if you do not identify yourself as a nation, then these are but so many instruments and becomes, as a matter of fact, the means by which we destroy ourselves. We're looking at the black buying power in America here, 1990 to 95. We got a report here called the Georgia Business and Economic Conditions, published here by the Selleck Center at the University of Georgia, titled Black Buying Power by Place of Residence, 1990 to 95. The second of a two-part analysis of buying power in specific markets. What are we talking about here? Is this published for us? No. What it's published for is for white folk. And it's telling them how much money black folk got. And it's telling them that the money black folk got is the difference between their success and their failure. It reads in part here, Georgia's African-American population thus controls approximately 16 cents of each dollar in spending power. That is about $1 in 6 is spent by black consumers. How aware are we of the kind of power we have as African people? Clearly, they are a substantial economic force throughout the state. But without a national consciousness, you don't recognize that. But they recognize it. They go on to say, for many of Georgia's businesses, the ability to capture black spending can make the difference between success and failure. They're putting it right in your face. If black spending power, if black spending can make the difference between the success and failure of Georgia businesses, and we're talking about what? White folks' businesses, that means black folk got what? Power. Because power is about what? The ability to succeed or to bring about what? Failure. And when somebody else's success or failure depends on your own behavior, then you have what? Power. New York State, the largest black market in the world, the largest black market in the world and the largest black market in this country. How much money are we worth in New York State, black people? You know how much money we are worth? $61 billion. That is a lot of money. This represents well over 10% of the buying power in New York State alone. I'm speaking of the area, the New York, Connecticut, tri-state area. And what does that mean? Now, but don't look at that absolute figure. Look at what would happen if we reinvested that $60 billion. If we put that $60 billion in black businesses, in black trade, if we invested that $60 billion in gaining equity in the major American corporations, if we use that $60 billion to gain equity in African countries. You know, I was just reading a piece this week about the fact that black investment bankers, a couple of black investment bankers, are selling as much as $100 million of bonds for the African Development Bank. Yes, another black investment banker is selling something like $500 million of securities for African businesses and infrastructural development. What does that mean, African people? That means that if we were knowledgeable of corporate finance, if we were knowledgeable of investment vehicles, we could literally finance the development of Africa. And by buying securities in the African Development Bank, by buying bonds, by buying other investment instruments in African corporations, even if they're owned by white folks, because once we buy the shares, we become the owners. In other words, then, by using black wealth, we can become the vehicle for financing African growth and development. And by using our own wealth and financing our own businesses, developing our own economic system, we would multiply our wealth, and we would not only be then worth $400 billion, we'd be worth $800 billion or more, and we would go stronger. And the stronger we grow, the more others would depend upon how we spend in order to survive, and to that degree, we will gain power over them. If tomorrow we decided as African people to build co-op supermarkets across this country, and we can do it, so that we can sell our people grocery and food at below wholesale prices. If we decided, using our church organizations as a means for sponsoring these co-op food markets across the country, so that we can open them literally simultaneously, and centered then the buying power for all of those co-op centers in a way that then we would have billions of dollars to spend with the suppliers of food. We could then manipulate those producers in terms of the buying power that we have. We can begin then to place our people on their boards. We can begin then to have real and substantial power in America. We have it in our hands, but you got to think of it as nation. It becomes interesting, by the way, if you study this particular breakdown of black spending in Georgia, and I wish we would get these breakdowns across the country. You see, when you become a state and a nation, you develop statistics. You see, and that's where statistics come from. It is the means by which a state and a nation gathers information about itself so that it can use that information to reorganize itself and to set itself up in ways to advance its interests. So once you become a nation, you become sensitive to the fact that you need a lot of information so that you can use this information. Now, when I read about the percentage of black buying power in Georgia by counties, something becomes very surprising. You note, for instance, that black buying power is as high as 25 and 26% in many of these counties. For instance, in Liberty County, Georgia, black buying power there is 22% of the total buying power. In Meriwether, 25%. Peach County, 25%. And you can just go on and on. In some of these counties, black buying power is as much as 45%, 35%. In other words, the black consumer has these counties by the balls. And they are able, if that buying power was to be coordinated and used, to have real impact and to transform the power relations of those societies and of those counties. They would be able, if they are buying half or 25% or 30% of what is being bought in those counties, to establish their own businesses and enterprises there. And they would be able to defend those businesses, enterprises, through the use of the boycott weapon. So what are we saying here then this evening, ladies and gentlemen? That African power is based on an African consciousness, based on an African-centered culture, based on an African-centered personality. And the degree to which our personalities and our culture are based on African values, based on African interests, based on African goals, to that degree we empower ourselves as Africans, and to that degree we escape the power of others over us.
Trying a long time, still I can't make it. Everything I try to do seems to go wrong. It seems I have done something wrong, while they're trying to keep me down. Oh, God bless, no one curse. Thank God I'm not the worst. Better must come one day. Better must come.
The following workshop is presented by National Educational Consultant Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu.
Are you going to accept Mrs. Jones's offer to be in honor classes?
Are you kidding? I can see it right now. All of my friends talking about me and calling me a nerd.
I know the feeling. They still call me stuck up because of the grades I get and the way I talk. That's why I dropped out of honors classes.
I think it's harder on the brothers myself. If you can't fight, play ball, or get high, you're just not with it.
Well, I'm not trying to compare, but sisters are vicious.
Listen, why don't we cut 9th period geometry? You want to go to the park?
Word, let's get out of here right now.
All right, let's go.
I'm a consultant across the country in a program titled Closing the Gap between white and black students. The average white European child in our California test is scoring at the 60th percentile. The average black African American child is scoring at the 30th percentile. Now, we believe there are 5 major reasons for this gap. One reason has to deal with teacher expectations. There are many teachers who lower expectations for black students. Another reason for this gap lies in parental involvement. There are some parents that are not involved and supportive of their children's education. Another reason has to deal with student self-esteem. There are many children that do not feel good about themselves, that do not like the way they look. Another reason for this gap lies in the curriculum. It's not motivating. It's not relevant. And also learning style. Children learn in different ways. And many teachers give left brain lesson plans for large numbers of right brain thinking students. But the major reason, or one of the reasons we're going to look at today for this gap, lies in peer pressure. There are 5 major reasons for this gap: teacher expectations, parental involvement, student self-esteem, the curriculum, and peer pressure. And we wanted you to be with us today because we want to look at the impact of peer pressure on academic achievement. What we're getting at is that it's very possible for parents to be doing their job, for teachers to be doing their job, and it all go for naught because the black peer group is more concerned about what kind of gym shoes or sneakers they wear, what kind of clothes they wear, how well they dance, fight, and play basketball. Is there anyone in this audience that has had a negative encounter with peer pressure? A situation where your peer group was not reinforcing academic achievement? Can anyone give some example of how their peer group was not encouraging them to do a good job in school? Anyone?
Yeah.
Judy?
I have an incident like in our class we have free bells, which is like a study hall. And some people who have study hall will ask other students who drive to school, like instead of studying for a test, to take them somewhere to get something to eat or whatever. And if they say no, then they'll say, well, you're a nerd for staying to study. You don't have to study. I mean, study tomorrow when you get home, or, you know.
And again, the person that had the study hall had the card. And they were trying to get that person to leave study and go get them something to eat?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with an example where negative peer pressure did not reinforce academic achievement? Anyone else with an example like that? Where your friends did not encourage you to do a good job in school? Anyone else? Or a situation where your peers did not reinforce academic achievement?
I have some peers that they do, but then they don't. So it's sort of like
Well, that's going to get some that do and some that don't.
some that do and some that don't. But
Describe
they don't
those that
really,
don't.
They don't really, it's not that they tell you don't go to school or something like that, but I have people who say, well, why don't you come over to my house? And then we'll do so and so and so and so. And I'm like, well, I have to go to class because I have already missed so many days out of class. And it's like, well, you can miss one more day. No, I can't. So I go to school anyway. But and then some, you should really come to class because you're missing out on so much.
Okay, a little later on we're going to talk about which way do you side, with those that reinforce or those that don't. In my latest book titled, To Be Popular or Smart, we also interviewed students across the country, those that had good friends and those that had bad friends. And I just want to share with you an excerpt on the brother's named Lamont, who was one of the ones influenced by the negative peer group. This is what Lamont had to say. I can get an A on any test I want. It doesn't matter whether it's biology, algebra, English, history, drafting, or gym. In some of my classes, there have been 5 tests, and I've gotten 5 different grades. I've gotten an A, B, C, D, and F. It's hard being serious the entire year. I got too many distractions to be in honors classes, but I don't want my partners to tease me and call me a fag. I usually sit in the back of the class and clown, and sometimes I don't go to class at all. I'm tight with my friends, and the women love me. I don't see the guys respecting the nerds or the women chasing after them. I would like to get A's or B's. It would really get my parents off my back. But I can't be serious for 40 straight weeks. Plus, I'd rather be down with my partners. Has anybody experienced something like that? Where you've got an A, a B, a C, a D, and an F? In other words, you can turn it on when you want to turn it on. You can turn it off when you want to turn it off. But many of us have a real difficult time being serious the entire year. And we have to work on that. I want to look at some questions. I want to ask this group, how do you act white? See, there's a rumor going around Cincinnati. There's a rumor going around that when black youth are doing a good job in school, they get teased. When the brothers are doing a good job in school, they're called a chump or a nerd or a fag. And I've even heard in some cases that when black youth are doing a good job in school, you're acting white. Now that's deep. If being smart is acting white, what does being black mean? I now want to first of all ask this group, how do you act white? And then we'll go into how do you act black? How do you act white?
Well, from my experience, a lot of people that I've talked to say that, you know, I may act white or whatever because of the way that I speak, because I don't use a lot of slang a lot of times unless I'm just joking around. And when I want to get something done or be assertive or serious, I speak, you know, proper English. Or it might be the way that you act or the way that you carry yourself. A lot of
So
people,
when you speak proper English, they say you're acting white?
Yes.
Okay, and what else were you saying? You're saying when you act a certain kind of way? How do you act a certain way that causes people to call you acting white?
If you're not like using slang or walking a certain way or doing certain things that the stereotypical black person would do, then you're acting white.
Okay, and remember, if we know what acting white is, we have to also know what acting black is. How do you act black? If acting white is speaking proper English and walking a certain kind of way, how do you act black? Does anyone know how to act black? Okay, anything else? Have you heard that comment that to be smart is to act white? Okay, so when you act black, what does that mean? I mean, if acting smart is acting white, then how does that relate to grades for acting black? Is that right?
I guess, yeah. That's what it's saying. If you're smart, you must be white. If you're black, then you must be dumb. Because white people say we don't know anything anyway.
Okay, and what is a nerd? Does anybody know what a nerd is? I understand that we don't want to be called a nerd. I mean, that's the worst thing to ever be called. What is a nerd?
Who's always in their books, who's always worried about getting their grades and getting A's and has a less social life.
Now, would acting like a nerd make you popular with your students, with your friends?
Your other nerdy friends, but
Okay.
not the in crowd, not the people who are popular and are worried about how their hair looks or what's happening at the football game. You could
The
be
in crowd is into what? The hair, how the hair
more
looks?
social life, and the nerdy people are more into their books and trying to achieve something for themselves.
And in most schools, are there more nerds or more people in the in crowd?
More people in the in crowd.
In the in crowd. Okay, and we need to work on that. I want to now ask, which group, or in terms of Asians, why do Asian Americans do a very good job in school? Why do Asian Americans do a very good job in school?
They constantly study as well.
Okay, so they study more. To reinforce your point, Kevin, on the SAT, the average Asian on the SAT is scoring 920. And the average white European student is scoring 908. And the average black African-American student is only scoring 700. Now, you gave one reason for this gap, and that is the average Asian studies 12 hours a week. The average white student studies 8 hours a week. And we only study 5 hours a week and watch more TV than anybody else in America. Any other reasons why Asians do a very good job in school?
Well, their parents kind of emphasize schoolwork a lot.
Okay, so their parents reinforce academic achievement, and you think that sometimes their parents may reinforce achievement more than African-American parents? Okay, don't worry. I know that's not the case with your parents. But let's go on to the second part of the question. Why do African-Americans do such a good job in sports? In the NBA, 86% of the NBA basketball starters are black, except in Boston. But only 1% of the engineers and doctors in this country are black. Why is it that black students, black people, do a better job in sports and music than they do in other areas? Is it ability? What is it?
They concentrate more on sports and, like, just saying, like, in school, since they were young, their peer pressure influenced them to, go with the in crowd and sports and dance, so therefore they emphasize that more. So now when they get older, they still emphasize that.
Okay, so you're saying the black in crowd is reinforcing the sports and music, and the Asian in crowd is reinforcing study? Okay. Yes, Charlotte?
You spoke on expectations. If someone expects that you are naturally inclined in this area, that's certainly where you get groomed.
Okay.
And if someone naturally expects that you are not academically sound, then you will be groomed away from that.
So you're saying when adults see our students in the school, and they see an Asian student, they automatically assume this person may be well-versed academically, and when they see a black student, this person may be well-versed in sports and music? Okay, so we have to work on the issue of expectations, and that's a serious issue that we have to look at. We want to also look at some characteristics of lower achievers and higher achievers, and I just want to find out, do some of these things apply to you? We want to look at the underachievers, those students that were not doing well in school, and these are some of the things that they did, and I want to find out, do you do some of those things? The underachievers, remember, these students are very smart. They just don't want to do well. They're very smart. They just do not want to do well. Some of them cut class. I'll make it even easier. We won't say you. Do you know any of your friends who are pretty good in school in terms of ability, but sometimes cut class? Do you know anyone like that? Okay. We also know that some of them don't even attend class at all. I mean, they miss school altogether. I mean, they left home. Their parents think they went to school, but they never showed up for division. Anyone you know that's acted like that? What about sitting in the back of the class? You know any of your friends that sit in the back of the class? I'm going to make this more at home. Do any of us sit in the back of the class? Okay, okay. We've also noticed that some of the underachievers don't ask questions. That it's not cool to ask questions. Do you know anyone that sits in the back of the class and doesn't ask questions? Do you ask questions? Or do you sit in the back of the class? Which one do you do? You do? In the front of the class or the back of the class? In the middle. Okay, you're in the middle. Okay. We've also noticed that some of the underachievers, they take easy courses. In schools where you only have to take maybe 1 hour class in math or 2 in science, once they get finished with that, they don't take any more. They do not take trig, they do not take calculus or college algebra. Do you know anyone who takes easy courses in high school? Do you all take easy courses in high school? You all taking all the courses? All the way, 4 years of math, 4 years of science? Okay, let's go on. This group also doesn't believe in studying. Okay, they're afraid their peer group is going to call them a nerd. Do you know anyone like that? That also wants to avoid studying? And then lastly, this group does not want to be called a nerd, a brainiac, an Oreo. What's an Oreo? What is an Oreo?
A person who's black on the outside but is white on the inside.
Black on the outside but white on the inside. Now elaborate. I mean, how do you do that?
You're black, you know, you're black, but on the inside you perceive yourself as being white. You do your work and you hang around a lot of white people and you act white. Okay, and remember this group surely would not want to be called an Oreo. And last but not least, this group does not speak standard English. They would never go to a museum, and they always listen to black music. They don't listen to classical music or anything else. They have to listen to a certain kind of music. Now that's the underachievers. But we also have some higher achievers. Is there anyone in this audience who's a higher achiever? Higher achiever. They can tell their peer group no. If you can tell your peer group no, raise your hands. Okay, now we will find out right now if you fit into the higher achiever category. Now, this group, though, also wants to be part of the in crowd. In other words, they decided, I'm going to find a way to be smart and still be part of the in crowd. Some of the things they've done is become an athlete. William, as you well know, you can still be a down brother if you can also play basketball. So you're okay if you're on the honor roll. If you also, I mean, you can okay in terms of playing basketball if you're also on the honor roll. So you can do both. Or the class clown. Does anyone in the audience know how to be the class clown? I mean, you get A's in school, but you tell good jokes. And because you tell good jokes, then you're part of the crowd. Is there anyone in this audience who knows how to be the class clown? Okay, you all tell good jokes? Good jokes, okay. Another one is they're never caught studying in public. I mean, they get good grades, but no one never sees them studying. Anybody fall into that category? Well, you study, you fall in that category? So you get good grades, but no one knows how you got them, right? So you study by yourself. Or another one is they're very independent. How many of you are independent? I mean, you're strong, you feel good about yourselves, you're independent. Very good. Also, some people that have done well in this situation are good fighters. In other words, they're able to tell their peer group, if you don't like what I'm doing, we can go down. Now, your first name in the green is? Right here, you're right.
Yeah.
Your first name? Ruben. Now, have you noticed that if you can fight, you can also be accepted by your peer group? Because many brothers don't respect how well you can do academically, but they do respect how well you can fight. Is that right? Okay. Some other ones that we heard were the better students, they also tutor the bullies. In other words, you can be accepted by your peer group if you tutor the bullies. And then the last one that we saw was they act raceless. Like you just mentioned about acting like an Oreo. They are black, they are white. They try to walk a fine line in the middle. And it's real hard to look black and then act white, quote unquote, so your black friends don't like you and your white friends don't like you. That's called being raceless. And that's real hard, where your black friends don't like you and your white friends don't like you. And you end up raceless. I know what you're going through. I'm also in this book as well. I was a 9th grader in high school, and I was in honors classes. And my friends teased me so much, I flunked the whole marking period intentionally, trying to get kicked out of school or out of honors classes. Had not been for my father who then kicked my butt, I'd had some real serious problems. But the compromise was I got a chance to run track and be involved in martial arts. My friends like that, running track and being involved in martial arts. But it's real tough dealing with the peer group, and we have to work on that. But what I want to now do is to look at black excellence. You see, I was real concerned about if you thought that being white was being smart, then that means that being black is being what? Okay, and I won't even put dumb on the board. That's embarrassing. But I have a real concern with if being white is being smart, then what does being black mean? You see, before 1954, we didn't act this way. Being black meant being the best. And we need to redefine again what it means to be black. See, I'm from the old school. See, I was taught that Hippocrates was not the first doctor, that the first doctor's name was Imhotep. What I'm getting at is, whether we're talking about science, in every area that we've been allowed to participate in, we've always been the best. All we've ever needed was the opportunity. So in science, was Imhotep, or Granville Woods, or Lewis Latimer, or George Washington Carver, or Walter Massey, or Sister Jemison, our first black female astronaut, you name the area. All we've ever needed was the opportunity. We're talking about black excellence, because it used to be being black meant being the best. If it's in business, we have strong men and women there as well. Reginald Lewis, who now owns a large company that he just acquired, or John Johnson at Ebony Magazine, or Ed Gardner at Soft Sheen. All we've ever needed was the opportunity. In writing, can you all name me a very good writer? Let me just giving you all the names. Can you name me a black writer that you think is very, very good? Yes. Nikki Giovanni. Any others?
Richard Wright.
Richard Wright, Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, Gwendolyn Brooks, Alex Haley. In education, Carter G. Woodson, Benjamin Mays, and Mary Petrell, the current president of education. Strong black men and women. In television, who has the best show on television right now? Bill Cosby. And the best newscaster in terms of the talk shows, there's two. Actually, they're both in the morning. Who are they? Morning talk show hosts. Brian Gumble. Who's the other one? The female. And Oprah Winfrey. You name the area, we've been good at it. What about in the movies? Who has the greatest box office attraction in the movies? Eddie Murphy. And then you add on people beside Eddie Murphy, Cicely Tyson, and Jones, and Lou Gossett. You name the area, we've been good at it. Let's move to music. Name some top stars in music. Michael Jackson. Who else? Anita Baker. Luther Vandross. Stevie Wonder. Aretha Franklin. What about sports? Who's the best basketball player? Michael Jordan. Who has rushed for more yards in football in the history of the sport? Rushed for more yards. Just retired. From Chicago. Walter Payton. Okay. And who hit more home runs than anybody in baseball, including more than Babe Ruth? Initials H.A. Hank Aaron. Okay. So again, you name the area, we've been good at it. Nor are we lazy. Think about it. The rumor is we're lazy. If we're lazy, why'd they bring us to work America? If we were lazy, they could have kept using their servants. We are the world's greatest workers. We're not lazy. In addition to that, we raise their children. We're good at nurturing as well. Also, who received the Nobel Peace Prize? And he lives in South Africa, Zambia right now. Matter of fact, one is living, one died. The Nobel Peace Prize. One lived in America, one lived in South Africa. One is dead, one is alive. Nobel Peace Prize. The one in America was Martin Luther King. And who's the other one? He lives in South Africa right now. Bishop Tutu. Okay? So again, and also, who received more votes with less money? He didn't win, but he had the best run campaign, Jesse Jackson. What I'm getting at is, whatever the area is, science, business, writing, music, TV, movies, you name the area, all we've ever needed was the opportunity. All we've ever needed was the opportunity. What I want you to understand is, to be black means to be the best. When you go to your schools with white and Asian students, you represent the race. You represent Imhotep. You represent Marcus Garvey. You represent King Akhenaten. You represent Nikki Giovanni. You represent Bill Cosby. To be black means to be the best. And we have to work on this. We have to work on redefining what it means to be black. But, since many of us have this kind of definition, now we have to find ways to deprogram it. We have to deprogram our students right now. See, on a plantation, Abraham Lincoln figured out you have 300 slaves, you have one master. That's a lot of work to watch that many slaves. Why don't you let them go? But don't teach them who they are. Don't give them their story. Notice the word his story. That's all history is. Don't give them their story. Don't make them feel good about themselves. Then you won't have to watch it. They will even say in 1988, 89, 90, 91, they will even say to be white is to be smart. To be black is to be what? To be dumb. That's what will happen when you brainwash students. So we have to work on this. And so since this happened between 1619 and 1865, what we're going to do in about 5 minutes, we're going to find ways to deprogram our students. We have to deprogram about 200 years of brainwashing. But remember, the first step is you need to know who you are. You are an African-American people. Your history did not begin in 1619. It began 4 million years ago. And when you start talking about good hair and pretty eyes, your hair is good hair and your eyes are pretty eyes. You are beautiful just the way you are. But let's go on in this deprogramming process. There are only 4 ways to attribute your success and or your failure. When you do well in school or when you do poorly in school, there are only 4 ways to attribute it. You can attribute it to your ability. You can attribute it to effort. You can attribute it to luck. And you can attribute it to the nature of the task. It was either easy or hard. Now understand, students, what we're going through. Anything you do in life, your success or your failure, you will attribute it to either one of these areas, to your ability, to effort, to luck, or the nature of the task. For example, if you think you're good in math, if you got 100 on a math test, you would probably say, I'm good in math. And that's why I got 100. And if you got a 40 on the math test, you would probably say, I didn't study hard enough. You would never question your ability because you believe you're good in math. So if you got 100, you attribute it to your ability. If you got a 40, you probably say, I didn't work hard enough, which means the next time you take a test, you will study harder. But if you feel, I'm not good in math, I'm not good in science, if you got 100 on a test, you would probably say, it was luck. Or you would say it was easy. And if you got a 40 on the math test, you would probably say, well, I never was good in math. What happens is when you do not feel good about yourself, you won't work harder the next time because you attribute the bad grade to your ability. I want you to ask yourself in all your subjects, do you attribute your success to the ability or do you attribute it to luck and how easy the test was? I want you to attribute your success to your ability. And if you do a bad job, if you did not do well on a particular test, attribute it to effort. My sister tried 4 times to pass the CPA exam, and she did not pass. But she never questioned her ability. She always believed she didn't try hard enough. It's a real good feeling when you never give up on yourself, when you always believe in yourself. You see, many of us are afraid to try. We give up because we doubt our ability. It's called a psychology of performance. And I want you from this point on to work on attributing your success to your ability and your failure to effort. I want you to always stay at level 1 and 2. When you're not doing a good job, you always drop down to 3 and 4. Well, I did good on the test because there was luck, or the test was easy. I wish we had time to go around the room and ask you, where do you attribute your success? Where do you attribute your failure? Your success, the ability. Your failure, the effort. Never question your ability. Always believe you didn't work hard enough. Another model we want to give to you is called the box. Those things that are for you and those things that are not for you. See, to be part of the in crowd, a lot of times they put you in boxes. When I went to Illinois State, my friends told me that debate was not for me. They told me that running track was for me. See, I had a track scholarship. and it was blind. I was part of the in crowd to run track. My friends liked that. But when I chose to debate, they said that was not for me. The black students don't do that. I want to now ask this group some questions with regards to what things are for them and what things are not for them. Being a freshman at a black college, is that for you or not for you? Do you envision that, going to a black college? Could that be for you or not for you? What about playing rap music? What about being editor of the yearbook? The winner of a spelling contest? Gangbang?
For you.
You said for you. Okay, you nod. I mean, be honest. Be honest on television. Score 21 or better on ACT. Kind of weak on that. Is that for you or not for you? I mean, do you envision that you could score 21 or 23 on the ACT? See, in order to do anything, you have to see it first. You have to see it before you can be it. Or what about 1200 on the SAT? Is that for you or not for you? What about getting high?
Not for you.
Sure, we got a dead audience today. All the nerds are here today. What about being a member of the National Honor Society? Judy? You sure? What about playing basketball? What about getting pregnant?
Not for you.
You sure now, but aren't you? Not for you? At least not right now, right? What about a D grade point average?
Not for you.
You sure? What about driving a taxi when you're 25 years of age?
Not for you.
You sure? What about working at McDonald's at 25 years of age?
No, not for you.
What, being an engineer?
Yeah.
For you? Okay. What about selling drugs?
No.
Hey, big money selling drugs. You sure that's not for you? What about being a teacher?
For you.
For you? I like the way your eyes sparkle. We need more teachers. We're losing a lot of good black teachers. On welfare?
Not for you.
You sure?
Yeah.
Owning your own business?
For you.
Okay, very good group. We have to work on this because what we've noticed is many of the peer group, they want to put you in boxes. Those things that are for you, those things that are not for you. Can you imagine if I had listened to my friends back in 1970 and chosen not to debate, I wouldn't be here today. My public career as a speaker probably began when I became a debater. But my friends said, that's acting white. They thought that running track was acting black. They thought that debating was acting white. We have to really work on this. Those things that are for you, those things that are not for you. And you know what's interesting? There's this theory called a crab theory. A theory that says many of us try to pull somebody down. See, there's only two ways to be somebody. Either uplift yourself, which requires work, or tear somebody else down, which requires talk. What's interesting is the in crowd, they don't pull down the athlete, but they pull down the scholar. See, if they were jealous, they should also be jealous of the athlete too. But maybe the real issue is because they believe that black people can do this, that's okay. But when someone like you all do a good job in academics, shows they too could do a good job. And they don't want anyone to know that black folks can also do well academically. So they pull this group down. If the crab theory was legitimate, both groups should be pulled down. But most peer groups pull down the scholar, not the athlete. They praise the athlete. They don't praise the scholar. We have to work on that. But let's spread this around. Beyond the issue of students and the issue of deprogramming, I want to also move to the parents. We want to look at some ideas from the parents as well, because many parents also have children that may be affected by peer pressure. First of all, I believe that good parents know who their children's friends are. Secondly, good parents invite their children's friends over to get to know them better. And many times, they program their child's peer group to make sure they run with the right group. My parents made so sure I didn't run into a gang in Chicago. They enrolled me on a track team. I had to run cross country, indoor track, outdoor track. Had me running around a track rather than running around a street. First of all, good parents know who their children's friends are. They invite them over to get to know them better. And third, they program their child's peer group. Are there any parents in the audience that want to share some experiences they've had where their children have also had some encounters with peer pressure? Any comments from the parents?
I've had some some experiences where the children have had negative peer pressure, but it's been sort of difficult. Sometimes I always like to use Bill Cosby's TV show as examples of some things that parents can do, because if you step in too far and too hard, then your children will certainly go in the direction of that negative peer pressure. So you sort of have to just sit back, be aware of it, and watch it and see if it really is dangerous or not. Sometimes we perceive it as being dangerous when it really isn't.
Okay. So you're recommending parents need to be sensitive and stay close.
Stay close.
Okay. And keep the lines of communication open.
If possible.
Okay. Yes, Charlotte?
Who the friends are, but to know the parents of those friends so that you're all communicating.
So you're saying not only know who your children's friends are, but also know their parents. That's very good.
I personally feel like when I send him to you, you have the same values that I have.
Okay.
And so we know we are reinforcing one another when your child comes to me or my child comes to you.
Now, young people, how would you feel if your mother, you said you wanted to go over to someone's house, and your mother said, well, let me call, his or her parents and talk to them. How do you feel about that? Oh, Mama, why you got to do all this? How do you all feel about that when the parents want your friends' phone numbers to talk to their parents to see everything's on the up and up? How do you feel about that? Yes.
I think it's unnecessary because I think that your parents should trust you and trust that you will not go out and find bad kids. I guess you call them bad kids, because I personally hate it for my mother to do that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Charlotte, what do you think about that? We have a young person here that says she thinks it's unnecessary. You should trust me.
I sort of have a situation where I knew all the boys, the proud boys, and they were all good guys as far as I was concerned. But yeah, they sort of got steered off into the wrong direction. I don't know who in the group, might have thought, well, hey, let's try this. Some of the other guys are doing it. But basically, good kids can get themselves into an awful lot of trouble, and then we look back and look at the damage.
Especially niggas hanging out. What do you feel about this? If you say you're going over Teresa's house, do you feel it's okay for you to at least leave the phone number for Teresa? And is it okay for your parents, if they want to verify that you really are over Teresa's house?
Well,
is that okay?
Yes, I guess. It's
guess.
Yes, it's okay, but I think it's, well, I'm a kid, but I think it's bad for parents to, question you about, well, are you really going over Teresa's house? Well, here, give me your telephone number just so I can find out that you're really going over. Why would I lie?
Yeah, true. So you feel because of your integrity that you should be trusted. Okay. And of course, that's okay as long as every time you say you're going to do something, you did it. Now, you do agree when you do not tell the truth, then trust becomes limited, right? Okay. For example, if at some point I really did call Teresa and you weren't there, you would not expect me to trust you the next time, right? You'd have to earn the trust over again. You okay with that? The trust has to be earned? Okay. Okay. Yes.
I think sometimes, the older you get, your parents should let you go. Because some people are just like too tied to their kids. And I think at a certain point in your life, you have to let go. It's just like when you go away to college. You're going to be calling down there every day what you doing, who your friends are, who's in your room with you.
What do you think that age should be then?
I think it should be about 16, 17, something around there, because 18, you're considered an adult, so you can do what you want to do.
But you don't think it should be 18? Well, no.
I think you shouldn't start calling your friends parent. I mean, you're 17 years old. You're practically grown.
Right.
I don't think you should be calling your friends, your kids, parents, and asking them, well, what's so-and-so over there and so-and-so over there. And just like I had a friend who was going somewhere he wasn't supposed to be going. He ended up in a car accident. That's his fault. He should have went where he was supposed to be going. He should have got back. But see, I think it depends on how strong your family, how strong your family is. If they tell you, if they've been teaching you since you've been young to do, and if I say you can't do it and you do it anyway and you mess up, then that's your fault.
And then Family?
One situation that happens a lot of times with children, not that, to comment on her, not that you don't trust the child, it's just that you want to be sure that since this child lives at home with his parent, that it's okay with his parent to have this child come over. So therefore, when we call to check, we're not calling to check to say, is so-and-so at the house? We're calling to say, so-and-so have your permission to have custody. Then a lot of times you will find that you trust the children. And the children, if they're going to do something that you are not in accord with them doing, they will have so-and-so being their friend answer that phone. And therefore, you will be talking to so-and-so's big sister or somebody and thinking you're talking to the person giving you permission. The child can still get around doing what they're supposed to be doing if they're trying to get around it.
I think the key, though, is that knowing who the friends are and the communication with the parents is something that should happen when the children are very young, so it becomes a ritual and everybody understands that this is what's going to happen. By the time the child is 16, 17, and 18 years old, hopefully that foundation of expectations on both ends has already been set, and then the trust could then begin to build even more at that point.
True, and reinforce that point. You know, a lot of times what good parents also do is they have check back every so often. You know, there's nothing worse than a child going out at Saturday at 1 o'clock in the summertime, and you don't see them until 9 or 10 o'clock. I mean, all kind of things can happen. So good parents say, why don't you check back around 3 o'clock? And then check back at 5 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock. We're not saying you still can't get involved in negativity, but you only had 2 hours to do it before you had to check back and, you know, check in again. So that's important, because many of our youth simply hang out too much. But beyond the issue of this one, I also want parents to begin to ask their students about what it means to be black. The session we just went through, we want all the parents to ask their students, what does it mean to be black, and what does it mean to be white? See, a lot of times, this could be going on right inside your house, and you didn't even know. You didn't know that your children had this negative image of being black, and this very positive image of being white. We want all parents to have a dialogue with their students about what it means to be black. And we also want you to begin to teach more black history in your homes. And not just black history, a new term, black future, black present. Many of our youth are tidying about the old greats, way back when. Are there any contemporary black men and women that are also doing something well? Teach that also in your house as well. But to put you all back together, I now want to ask the students and the adults, what is a friend? Young people first. What is a friend?
Someone who you can rely on and who is trustworthy, who respects you.
Okay, so a friend is someone trustworthy and dependable and you can rely on.
A true friend. Yes.
A true friend. Wait. Now we get these code words, true friend. Okay, I just said friend. You mean you can have some other kind of friends?
Yes.
Okay, so let's use your vernacular. We have true friends. What other kind of friends can you have?
You have acquaintances.
Acquaintances, okay.
Or you can have just social people that you hang around, you know.
So like associates?
Right.
Okay. Okay. What's an associate, Quayla?
Person that you just with when you ain't got nobody else to be with.
Okay. So they're not really your friend, but someone you can sort of hang with when there's no one else to hang with? Okay, yeah.
A friend is someone who will accept you for who you are, and not for what you do, what you wear, or, you know, who you hang with. A friend is someone who accepts you no matter if you're not in the in crowd.
So you can depend on them, they're reliable, and it's unconditional. Let me ask you this. Would a true friend do something negative to you? Would a true friend encourage you?
Not intentionally.
Not intentionally. Would a true friend encourage you to do something negative?
No.
Would a true friend gossip about you?
No.
I want you to ask yourself, do you really have a friend? Okay. Because some of the people that have steered you some negative directions, they are not your friends. They are not your friends. If you have someone who encouraged you to cut class, is that your friend? If you had someone that wanted you to steal something from a store, is that your friend? I believe some of you have had some people that you really did call your friends, who really did encourage you to cut class. Don't lie to me on television. You've had some friends that you call friends that encourage you to cut class. And I even believe some of you might encourage them to cut class. I won't say this one. Even I think some of us have also been involved in stealing from time to time too. We have some people that say they're friends that encourage us to do this. And you have to watch that. Because they are not your friends. Now I want to ask you, for people that that encourage you to do negative, why would you still want to be with them? And if it's harder talking about you, we'll talk about other people. Why do you think some people have people that they call friends who encourage them to do this?
They want to be part of the in crowd. They want to be able to fit in.
Okay, so typical situation of the in crowd. You have 9 people. You have 5 people that are being negative. You have 3 people being positive. Now it's your vote. Now, you have 5 being negative, 3 being positive. You have to decide which way you're going to go. Many of us, of course, choose to fall in right here because they outnumber this one. Simple majority, party in crowd. Another one I think I hear a lot of times is those are my parents' rules. Many young people do not like following their parents' rules. Anybody want to testify on that? Just simply break rules because it's their parents' rules. I just want to be me, and whatever they say, I'm going to do the exact opposite. Have you ever known anyone like that? If my parents say yes, I'm going to say no. If they say 10 o'clock, I'm going to say 11 o'clock. Is that you, Quayle? I'm glad you said I sure didn't want to mention your name, girl. Quayle, testify. What is it sometimes about, I just don't want to do what they say? What makes you feel good about that sometimes?
No, you just don't want to do it because you're sick of hearing it.
You sick of hearing it?
Yeah.
Do you think do you think about whether it's right or wrong? Okay, it's just their rule, right? And you want what, your own?
You just want to do what you want to do.
You want to do your own, you want to have your own rules?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to do that.
You're going to do that. Anybody else like that? Judy, testify, girl.
I feel like when Carmen was saying, you get to a certain age and you feel, I'm a senior this year, next year I feel like I'll be in college. And like she said, your parents not going to be there at all times. So it's like, she'll tell you to be here at a certain time, but you feel as though, well, next year nobody's going to be there to tell you, come and have study, do this, do that. So you feel as though you have to learn on your own, you know, because since no one's going to be there to tell you that, you're going to be like, my mom's not here to tell me, so I can go do it on my own. But if you do it now while you're in high school, you'll learn the hard way. I think it's better for you to learn the hard way than somebody telling you. Okay. And I think it's better to learn while you're in high school than when you get into college and it's too late.
Now, Judy, you don't mind learning the hard way? See, your parents love it. See, you know what do parents always say to this, to that kind of comment? What do they say? I've been through it before.
I know what's going on.
Now, do you believe they've been through it back in 1920? Go through what you went through.
They've been through it, but you have responsibilities, and if they want you not to go through what they have gone through, or they want you to go through what they did go through, then they should be able to say, okay, you can learn from your own mistakes, and you should be able to do this because when you reach a certain age, you should have more responsibilities upon yourself.
So you feel parents are wrong denying you the opportunity to learn the hard way?
I mean, like okay said, they tell you the first time.
This is heavy. Y'all don't mind getting hurt, right?
Not saying they're really wrong, but saying that you should have, there's only a certain extent to where your parents can say, you can't do this. And if you're going to be 18 next year, which is considered an adult age, and right now when you're 17, getting ready to turn 18 or a senior in high school, they're saying that you can't stay out past 12, then, it's kind of, especially on prom or something special.
I don't think they'll do it on prom now.
I do.
Yes, they would. Judy, Thunder.
I think, though, that the youth don't really understand that the parents know the magnitude of the consequences that you might have to suffer. And what parents are trying to do is to protect you from some types of consequences that might be irreversible, like a baby, or like flunking out of school, or drug abuse that might take 3 or 4 years to overcome, if you do overcome that. So it's really just more of a protection because you don't understand all of the things that might be happening after 12 o'clock midnight and pitfalls that you could fall into that might take the rest of your life to overcome.
But how did they find out? They had to find out.
Well, hold on, but to reinforce Timmy's point, there are 329,000 brothers in prison right now that in many cases were simply hanging out. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And many times the police, they don't care who they get. Somebody robs somebody, they just want to find one person that they can just catch very quickly and put them in jail. Timmy's point about teenage pregnancy. Last year, there were 1.2 million white, black, and brown girls that were pregnant. And you all keep saying, but it ain't going to happen to me. Right? It's not going to happen to you? Not this early? And the same thing with dropout. I mean, we have a national dropout rate of 23%. In most large cities, it's 50%. That's not going to happen to you either, right? You all got it all under control. Like Theo, I got it under control. Everything is always under control. Okay, Judy?
I mean, we understand the consequences, but it's like that we've been living with them for 17 years. You know, I feel as though if they enforce their rules, you know, they enforce what's good and bad, and then, you know, you come to a point where it's up to you to decide. I mean, they know it's wrong. You know it's wrong, but until you find out for yourself. Not saying that you're going to go out and get pregnant. It's just like certain things that your parents should, you know, have enough trust in you that you wouldn't do that. Okay. Because if not, if you're not going to do it with their permission, then, you know, that gives you even more reason to want to go and do it. Because
so I think all you all are saying that as you all get older, from 13 to 17, you want to renegotiate the room, and you want more and more rope, right? Okay, you want a regular negotiation. Because all you all are saying, when I go to college, I'm totally free. And so you want a gradual movement to that point.
But when you go to college, you're free to a certain extent, but you're always going to call home and say, Mom, I need this, Mom, I need that, can you please help me? But we're just saying that we need, you know, more responsibilities laid on us so that we can understand what they went through or what they did not go through, and maybe that we can get a better perspective on ourselves.
Okay, and I agree. Right quick before time runs out, when I went to Illinois State, there were 1,000 black students that went there with me. 4 years later, only 254 graduated. At college, in a dormitory, by themselves, no parents. How come only this few graduated and the rest of them didn't? It wasn't ability. The other group, the other 746, stayed in the cafeteria, stayed in the dormitories room, kept shooting the breeze, playing. They lacked discipline. And so some of us say we want responsibility, but really can't handle it. We have to work on that. But let's go on before time runs out. I want to look at the competition of peer esteem, and that's self-esteem. The only way to win against peer esteem is to have self-esteem. In other words, I believe you make silly mistakes when you have nothing to lose. Why not get high? Why not get pregnant? Why not drop out of school? You have nothing to lose. What is it that you value so much you would not want to lose it? Is it a belief in God? Is it unconditional love from your parents? Is it high expectations from teachers? Is it feeling good about your race? Is it knowing where your talents are? Is it knowing you're going to college, that you have a career down the road? I have studied to say that little girls do not get pregnant when they know they're going to college. See, the real issue is you have to be able to tell your friends no. But you can't tell your friends no if you are not strong. And I believe one way to be strong is to improve your self-esteem and also to have goals. You see, when you have goals in your life, when you know you want to be an engineer, you don't cut class. When you know you want to be a doctor, you don't get pregnant at 16 or 17 years of age. I want you to begin to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, why are you here? I don't mean today. Why are you here in life? First one. And the second one, what is it that you want so much? You live for it, you die for it, you dream about it, you think about it, all your waking moments are on it. If you can't answer those 2 questions quickly throughout your entire life, you're liable to succumb to peer pressure. Why are you here, and what do you want more than anything else? So when you really want to be a doctor, you can tell your friends no. Maybe the real issue is our self-esteem is not as strong as we think it is. And secondly, we are unclear on what our goals are. But beyond the issue of students, beyond the issue of parents, I want to also move now to the teachers. I want to talk about cooperative learning. Here's a typical situation in a classroom. You have 30 students in a classroom, and many teachers grade on the curve. Now, one student scored a 98. The next highest student scored a 79. Everyone else was below them. Now, young people, if you had a situation like this, where there were students in a class, and one person scored a 98, and the next highest grade was 79, of course, they got the A, this one probably got a B, and everybody else got C's and F's, how would you all feel about this student? Be mad, okay? Well, that's what happens when you have I more important than we. But in cooperative learning, rather than an individual grade, we're going to have a team grade. We're going to have the Lakers, we're going to have the Bengals, we're going to have the Ashanti, we're going to have 6 teams of 5 players. And so therefore, the one that scored a 98 and the one that scored a 39 are going to be on the same team. Now, in this situation, rather than being mad at each other, the one that got the low grade is going to be encouraging him to get him the better grade. And this one is going to be encouraging this one to get a better grade. We're now going to study together. We're going to reinforce each other. In cooperative learning, if you had a group of 5 students, you would give them 5 different assignments. And they then would have to work with each other to teach each other what was learned. What we found out is sometimes the students can present the idea better to each other than even the teachers can. They can break down Marcus Garvey or an algebraic equation sometimes better than the students can, or better than the teachers can. And so cooperative learning works. And what else I like about this is, in cooperative learning, you no longer have teachers saying, sit down, be quiet, get back to work. Because in this situation, they're working together. And I think this is a better way to deal with peer pressure. We may never be able to reduce the impact of peer pressure. But what we can do is infiltrate the peer group and get them to work with each other to reinforce academic achievement. If we can do that, then maybe we can turn some of this around. Cooperative learning works, and we've got to find ways to look at this. Some other ideas with regards to peer pressure is the community. And before I do that, one other quick point on the classroom, on schools. In your schools, is more glory given to the athlete or to the scholar? More trophies, awards given to the athlete or the scholar? More pep rallies to the scholar or the athlete? We have to work on that. We want more schools giving pep rallies and trophies and medals to the scholars. I can understand the NBA giving more glory to the athlete, but not schools. I also want schools to quit dealing with tracking, where you have the advanced placement, the honor classes, the regular classes. We want all students working together, because when they work together, they can reinforce each other. See, in a class where one child got 100 and another child got 40, there should be no happiness here. The one that got 100 should be helping the other child that received 40. What Jesus said, what you do the least of these, you also do unto me. See, the Asians study together. Black folks need to study together. We always study by ourselves. We need to start studying together and reinforce each other. And then lastly, for the community. In the black community, are there more programs that work with black youth in sports and in music, or are there more programs helping black youth in math and in science and in language arts? Which one? Sports and music. So you see, adults, we are giving our youth negative messages. Not only do schools give more glory to sports and music, but so does the community. There are all kinds of programs in Cincinnati, LA, Baltimore, Detroit to reinforce sports and music. But where are the academic programs for math and science and language arts? NAACP has one. It's called AXA. Upper Bound's another very good one. We need more programs that reinforce academic achievement. And you know what's interesting? The rumor is we have a shortage of black men. There's not a shortage of black men to be Little League baseball coaches, to be basketball coaches, but where are the black men in math and in science and in language arts? I don't believe it's our young people's fault. I believe the reason why we have figures like this, remember I gave this figure in terms of the MBA and engineers, I believe it's because the black community reinforces this. We have a lot more programs in sports and music than we do in math and science. And we have to begin to work on these kinds of issues. Are there any questions or closing comments from the group with regards to how we can monitor peer pressure? We've tried to first of all look at its impact, and then look at what students can do, what parents can do, what teachers can do, and we also want more community activists to design programs in math and science and language arts. Any closing comments from the group? Yes?
You made a statement earlier that if you're strong, you could, turn the pressure away if you're positive about yourself. And I believe that it all starts, when you're young at home with the parental relationship. And as you all grow, with your parents and stuff, and you have trust, and you do good in school, your parents monitor you or whatever, that it'll grow and you'll be more confident in yourself. And so when that pressure comes, you'll be able to turn it away. Or maybe.
So you recommend the parents to become involved very early.
Yes.
And you want more programs in the classroom and the community to start working with peer pressure at a very early age.
Yes.
Okay. Any other closing comments from anyone? Both adults and young people.
I think that we could begin by looking at ourselves, because we individually are part of that peer group that we're talking about. And if we decide among ourselves that we're going to elevate some things, for example, like engineering and math, etc., then we become a peer group and then we can dictate.
Right. And in closing, remember, to be smart is to be black. Being black means black excellence. Now, remember at the beginning, we had a negative encounter between peer pressure. Now let's look at a positive interaction between a brother and a sister that handle peer pressure very well.
Quayle, we need to take this chemistry test seriously.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. Why don't you take 3 chapters and I'll take the other 3 and we'll just study together?
Sounds good to me.
Yes, greetings, my dear. So, we're saying that to raise our children, we have to illuminate the inner being. And that's all about, or that consists of us, the parents. And the effectiveness of that is to inform our children of the excellence of themselves. How is that? It's where am I? I'm looking for my notes. It's what we do consistently reflecting on positiveness. Now that sounds dodgy, right? But intellectual truth, we know as Muslims as enlightenment. We free our children's mind and their consciousness within the social environment that is the safe environment, which is our homes. We develop creativity, or we enforce or support creativity from, and that word enforce should be used, should be understood. It's not force as in a punishment, it's for enforce as in a discipline. Creative development from kindergarten to within kindergarten is how a child approaches education. And we, the adults, the parents, is how we help them, the children, the child, to approach education, not through fear, just the approach. For that creative development, which we all been through as human beings, we evolved that way as children. It is part of our cultured expression, not European cultured arts. It's part of our cultured expression. It comes with politeness, manners, which helps our children to become critical thinkers. The politeness is called manners. And the reflection, it is communication. They will sense the value of communicating and what is essential in thinking and what is also critical in manners. And that's our moral positioning within culture, morals and ethics and principles. This idea that is being hatched or projected by some of us, and I don't know if it's an idea, but it's a thought process or processes that culture is just amusement and play. No, it's on the list, but it's way down the list. because we're a people. Everyone is a people. Every human being, we all have culture. We come from tribes and nations, and we have cultured attributes. And we have cultured disciplines. And we have cultured motivations. When we're taken from that thought or thinking and presentation, because we're in the diaspora, we're the children of the slaves, it's hurtful. And all we need to do is acknowledge that that's a key element that's missing in our welfare. Because we suffer from all form of racial discrimination, racial segregation, all these toxic stuff. And it doesn't help us. And whilst we're being played a game with in the discrimination sector of societies, it is being done deliberately, intentionally, because it prohibits us from growth. That's what it does. It prohibits us from growth. Because instead of illuminating, we become stagnant, and we just cannot seem to can't find that beam of spiritual light, that beam of perfection, that beam of confidence, striving for excellence in whatever pursuit that we chooses. But we ain't been able to choose. All we're trying to do is justify to those people who play the racial discrimination card is that we're somebodies and we have a right to be wherever we are. That's mental traumatization. It doesn't help us. It doesn't. And it hasn't helped us, the parents, and it surely ain't going to help our children if we continue to not acknowledge what the issues and the problems have been in our ancestors, our parents, and in our lives. We have experienced this. The Europeans are speaks about us as to isolate, separate those defiant ones. Why? Because we're the ones that understands, and they see issues with that and problems. Why? Because they want to continue to oppress us. They're afraid of us. They're not afraid of us physically, people. Stop this thing about combat. They're afraid of us to be free and know what freedom means, and then to express ourselves accordingly to meet and develop our needs. We have our needs, not their needs, our needs. And we have skills. But they like us to be, they like us to amuse them. So the history of us being on the plantation, the defiant individuals, they went as far as to kill us, maim us, because we won't adhere to their way. Hence, look at us. We have European names up to now. They failed to let us know where our ancestors actually came from, which tribes or which region of the continent of Al-Kubalan, Africa. But they're in the Middle East, they're in Africa, brokering deals on how to ethnically cleanse Palestine under pretense that they're also putting a stop or seeking a peaceful resolution with Russia and the Ukraine, which is Russia. I don't accept this isolation, this separation, all this stuff. But you know, the Western man who done his homework on the land, he knows why he wants to do, or why he wants to do what he started. They have things that they want, and they spend, all of them have united in spending so much money to help kill people to get what they want. Yeah, to get what they want. And at the same time, looking at 30, 40, 50 years down the road, how long it would take them to build up the NATO ally strength, military strength to rebuff Russia at any given time. They see them as a long-term enemy. And that's their play. They spoke today, I'm going somewhere, they spoke today about Saudi Arabia 30-30 or whatever, 2030. And it just brings to the fore what is being dealt with over these years. And they said that they have confidence in the leadership and the monarchy of Arabia, that these things will happen. There will be a relationship between Benjamin Netanyahu, or whoever the man's name is, and his government and the Zionists with Saudi Arabia. And based on that, we will be able to, before even that, we're going to be able to do what we want, because Arabia wants America to be their defense security. I mean, independence of sovereignty, and the greatest security is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, the custodians of the house, that's what they are. And the opposition to this man that's in power in America shows today, from last night, but today, that whoever thought that they were separate, you fools. They're saying that we are the ones that is requesting what he's actually doing right now, and this is what's going to happen. This is what, and we're confident that he will bring it into fruition. And my body just went cold. My body just went cold because I was listening to people that was over 60 and they didn't hesitate to tell us, to say that this is to make America great and greater again and great as it's ever not been before. Because America will be running, not dictating her, running, administering that region. So the next objective is to put Iran to bed. I tell you, the man says straight, the next objective is just to put Iran to bed and show that we're not playing. And once that is done, Israel can do what it wants to do, however it wants to do whatever it wants to do. Hey, that's a bully. They've always been bullies as far as I'm concerned, but I mean, that's an outright bully, man. And these elders, you know what the man is saying? Right? That they're confident that we're going to leave America. Right? Because they're saying, listen here, you lot don't get it. We're confident we're going to leave America great, great, great again. You know what I mean? All he didn't say is that we may not be here with you, or we're not going to be here with you, but that's what's going to happen. Now, that's where we, as African people, in the diaspora, due to transitioning, we just don't seem to understand. We just don't seem to understand. We keep talking about Harold Wilson, Margaret Thatcher, Ray, and these people represented their country. They represented their country, man. They were 100% nationalists representing their country. And anything that stands in their country's way, yeah, they will squash it. What we do is play around with them, try to assimilate with them, knowing that everything we receive from them is toxic, damn it. Yeah? But we take the placebos and play the fool. And we just go around this magic roundabout thinking every year that something is different from the last year. And it hasn't been different. It's been the same. Our children attend school, get to secondary, get traumatized, get labeled, get profiled, finish up in juvenile detention, then finish up in senior prisons, and then being constantly harassed by the law, turn up to be informers when they didn't do such. Now they become a threat to their own peers in the community, and some of their peers, obviously who are older than them, seduce them to other vices. So all we've done is give birth to children that their life expectancy and direction is already chosen for. And we're meant to be the parent and brighter, have some wisdom because we are aged as well. And I'm being able to do, haven't done nothing. We haven't come together and figure out and look back, assess and evaluate where our parents were, what is happening throughout that generation, and what has happened since we left school and gone to college, and some of us university, and gone into the workspace, right? And now we're parents. and there are people there that we can see, but we're not really looking at the illumination of anyone. We're looking at the fact that we're consumers, and they provide a service, the services that we require, so we finish up going to Chinese, Asians, and everybody else's places, and yet still we're criticizing us. We have some feelings, but they didn't beg us to come there. They're providing a service, and we ain't providing no service for ourselves. So who's the dumb? Who's dumb? Who's dumb in this transition? We are. But yet still we know what they're doing. How's that we know what they're doing? We don't know what they're doing. We just know that they have what we want to eat, or what we like to eat. They didn't say, yo, African Europeans, come bring your money across here. No, they didn't do that. They didn't say, yo, Africans, here what happened? Why don't you open up a school? They got schools. They run curriculums. They run mother tongues. They run social events. What do? We want to be more colonialist than the colonialist wants to be. And when you got a people that's mentally confused, you don't have to do anything. Just direct them. Anytime you see that they're coming too close to Buckingham Palace, direct them. So right now, when you see the Muslims getting too close to thinking that they can create some kind of tension in Saudi Arabia, redirect them. Because right now, we're there. I mean, we've got them intrigued with football. We've got them intrigued with boxing. We've got them intrigued with modeling. We've got them intrigued with taking their clothes off. We've got them intrigued with drinking alcohol and so forth and so forth. And, you know, that's going to play out. And who's best to be saying anything to help the people, them, the Africans in the diaspora, whether we embrace Islam or not? But who's going to listen to us when we haven't done nothing for ourselves? We're consumers, and we're players of, we love playing amusement. So why would someone spend time to listen to any form of advice or direction in the social dynamics? You'd be stupid. It'd be stupid to listen to spend time listening to some pseudo idiot individuals, dumb individuals. All this placebo nonsense. There's no one up around Europe that's in defiance, intellectually or physically. But we have one or two guys that go out there saying that they're boxing, but when you look at them, they're big and strapping, but do they have the art of boxing after all these decades that we've shown and everyone has seen the art from us? Even though it's plain amusement. So you know that those guys that's there, they're a bunch of placebos. The people have lost their faculties. They've lost their faculties. They're not bright, they're not sharp, they're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. Who's looking up to them? And what would you look up to them for? And then we've got some others who thinks that if they get the 3 lions on their shirt to wear, they've achieved the world. Intellectual truth is what us as parents should be portraying or projecting to our children. Creative development is what we should also be projecting to our children. Cultural expression and cultural understanding is what we're supposed to project to our children. So the social services that they require is what we should have been developing. The social services that we as parents should have been developing and should have developed in and about the areas that we occupy or we have large numbers, which we should be calling communities. We should have done that. But we neglect being Muslims and we give thanks to Christians and we ain't got nothing. Why am I saying it like that? Because the majority are alleged Christians. What have you all got? It's not a competition, but it's a question. It's a question because the nation that we live within, are they Christians? Are they practicing Christianity? I mean, you got to try and find out what it is that they do, because if they are doing such, then their thing works and our application of it doesn't work. So are we that dumb? And if so, why are we still there? I mean, it intellectually, it doesn't make sense. All across Europe, they're prospering. They all say they're Christians. And even if they're not less than 30%. No. So they're all Christians. And they're getting some fruits. Seasons after seasons. So why is the African peons not bearing fruit? Something wrong there. I mean, is it that we're focusing on, I don't know. But let them say football. Everybody's ready. Their children are out there ready. They're performing to get one of those shirts. 3 Lions. Let's say Commonwealth. We're there again, ready. Let's say Olympics. We're there again, ready. So like my 2 programs says, let's say science and technology. We're not there and ready because they're not calling us for that. And we have them. We have those minds there, you know. It's just that we're not focusing on them and we're not making the space or creating a space for them and services for them. We're not. We're hoping that the system would acknowledge them. Why would the system acknowledge them when the system was the first one that discriminated against them in the first place? And these ones just slip through the net. You lot don't get it? What the placebo is all about? How long do you want to stay with them to learn that they don't have our vested interest at heart? And if you look at the Caribbean and look at Africa, the structures that is there is still theirs. So what is it that we're fooling ourselves with? I say al-Islam. It's a slam dunk, man. Simple things. At least your body is free. Your mind is free. Your integrity is free. You know? So we're going to say guidance. We're going on the plantation. Come here. Give thanks.
Hey Nico! Hey Nico! Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Look into.
Yeah, some people, them feelings get hurt with my chat back. I don't care, damn, you know. that your feelings get hurt. Because if your feelings get hurt, that means there's something inside of you that's resonated to what I'm saying, right? But you call it hurt because the things that you do, you know, saying the way me I say, you know, see you do that. I know it's wrong. You know what I mean? And if he's a man, right, then you have a responsibility, you know, to take care of the woman who gave birth to the children them, and you have responsibility to help her and the children them. So how can me be wrong? And you want to be right. You can't right? Huh? And if you say that you're now with Marcia and you're no longer with Jennifer, you still have a responsibility. So I don't care how you want to cut it. You still have a responsibility. So if you did it now with Marcia, not with Jennifer, but Jennifer's child from you is not deemed to be this athlete or this soccer player and everything. And now you want to say, well, yo, that's my child, and you want to be part of the child's life because of money? Star, you have an issue. That's why you vex. You feel say, you have an issue with me. Because me open up your neglectfulness, and your punk-coot behavior. And then you have a lot of friends them that you meet in the barber shop, and when have these sinful conversation, or each one of them are going to get away with this one, and which tactics have been working. So you're educating one another with all the nonsense. So someone like me now, I bruise your stupid minds, your dumbness. And then at the other side, me I say, listen, Islam would clean that up. Because Christianity didn't give you it. But you don't see the rules and the laws in Christianity that make you all not do that nonsense. And then it's not God you fear. It's your associates that you're working with and the pastor them, the bishops them and all these people. If the damn pastor was a shepherd or fisherman, then you would have some fear and respect for them, because you know so that they're gonna open up the book upon you and make you know so that you're a waste man. And the woman that is putting her body out there and don't care damn about respect, pride and dignity, all her. Now, she's got like that because these men never show them no care, no love, and being genuine. Let's be factual. So now they've gone into the pornography thing, calling it dancehall. Because they really want to be up there one of the dancehall performers. So now they find an easy route, and them say, hey, yo, just take off everything and twerk. The system doesn't have to do anything for us anymore, to us anymore. We've degraded ourselves. Totally degraded ourselves. You go on the internet, we are diabolical. And these are not X-rated porn and all of these sites. So if the common everyday site shows a degrading aspect of us, what is on the other side? Because those little clips up here is getting customers to go and pay for that thing behind the other side. And the so-called lyrics from these young-looking boys them and girls talking about themselves, their preferences. It's very sad. And then we want peoples to look at, to engage with us and help us to develop businesses. No one those persons will be dumb, because how would someone take anyone like that serious? We want schools, we want health centers, we want supermarkets, and we just have dance, we just have pornography, exploitation of the wound that bore us, and negativity and dumbness towards our children's perspective for our future. Yo, seriously, man. Seriously.
History. I can recall the days of slavery, how they treat our ancestors. They treat them so bad. They let them work the plantation, even plow the earth. They work them and hurt them. They work them to death. Now they wanna come pay the same tricks on us. No, you ain't gonna pay the same tricks on us. No, understand we crave. Back way to a vampire. Back way, slave driver. Back way to a vampire. Wow, 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 I feel like why? I feel like why?
Years when the sun did a blaze, the children them suffer and ask the grave.
Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Wow, wow, why? Look into my history. I can recall the days of slavery, how they treat our ancestors. They treat them so bad. They let them work the plantation, even plow the earth. They work them and hurt them. They work them to death. Now they wanna come pay the same tricks on us. No, you ain't gonna pay the same tricks on us. No, understand we crave. Back way to a vampire. Back way, slave driver. Back way to a vampire. Wow, 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 I feel like why? I feel like why?
Years when the sun did a blaze, the children them suffer and ask the grace. The whip crack load and we back them sore. Fi pick mass of sugar cane forevermore. Sun better than till the night did that creep. We are what fi give break, we couldn't sleep. And them raw, our spirit them bend. We far from broken, we not pretend. But not do work, you find it tough. Sun beat down, you can't get enough. We are sweat and a tile, fi mass again. Enough tears drop like the falling rain. My brother and my sister, them share the pain. We stand together through the thunder and rain. Massa shout and all in heart so cold. But the fire in we soul, it never goes.
Master, back way, slave driver.
sacrifice from fields so hollow. Fight for freedom, no time to borrow. Sunny place but we skin like burn. Them whip cut deep, make your body burn. Plantations might make we soul turn stern. We ancestors pain still neck we learn. We rise up from the ashes dead. We fight for truth from start to end. Them spirits kind make we heart extend. Never forget we roots, my friend. Tears them fall, but we spirits strong. Melodies of freedom are so we sung. Them chains now come for so long, but the struggle still carry on. Tears them fall, but we spirits strong. Melodies of freedom are so we sung. Them chains now come for so long, the struggle still carry on. From the coast of Africa we journey start. To the Caribbean come and we are. Them try to break but we make the chart. We ancestors whisper never depart. We rise up from the ashes dead. We fight for truth from start to end. Them spirits kind make we heart extend. Never forget we roots, my friend.
See, they don't want this type of sound, this type of lyrics out there, so. They want them kind of nastiness and them youth, they want the latest car. Huh? And them for make more nasty videos and everything. You understand? Right? So, to always remember our ancestors and our parents and our journey. You understand? Them say enough of that. So them got right involved with us making out that they are there to help. Coming in on the side of Bob Marley and everything. And we rightly thought, yeah, to our peril, the people them come and snatch it, rip our consciousness out of our brain, pollute our souls, and other side take our females and show that them have total control over our culture. For once you take away the first teacher, the woman, what have you got? What have we got? Any nation of people, what we got? So them know, said, you know what? What them can do? What them can do? See? And now we're the laughing stock. Really, hey, yo, we are the laughing stock of ourselves. Because they've just come and ruin us. Them come on the back of Bob Marley making out say them a friend. Them a friend. Huh? And then you have some of them say them a Rasta. And them go in this and cause division. Huh? Cause division. And then you have some alphabet Rasta. So-called Rasta. And how you know them are so-called? Because you don't know say if them are wear weak. You don't know say if them are genuine far right. You just know say that them have an image. And them use the red, gold, and green along with a few other color here, there, and everywhere. And you have to watch them carefully, you know. them carry two distinctive things out there with them. You understand? And how we're going to know now? We have to go ask them, yo, what, we are defend. And they have to ask the sister them, we are defend. And the sister, some of them are tell us straight away now. Me never tell you see me is Rasta. And the brother them too, because anybody can have locks. You understand? So, hey, yo, me I tell you, man, them come behind Bob Marley to write it and them just take everything. Yeah? Them idiot boy, both them are run down Europe. Them gone to Europe. And the people, them watch them, understand things from them, and know them did it. So you don't have reggae. You have an infiltration of everything. Everything that's sacred to us in a Rasta, everything that's sacred to us as in reggae, is gone. Have we took rock and roll? Have we took, not rock and roll, have we took rock? Have we took heavy metal? We left them things alone because it have nothing to do with us. Even the greatest type of a musician them have, we interfere. Because we're too important to ourselves. Huh? And this was one stone that them refused. This is one of the stones that them refused. Because they refused the Kaaba. But they also did refuse reggae. They refused everything to do with us, the people of the slaves, of the captive people. But them see among their people, the poor and destitute, were gravitating. Huh? They were culturally gravitating. And when they wrote their thesis in academia, they were coming from an angle or perspective that they were not familiarized with. And when them investigate, it's coming from the Isles of Jamaica. And the thing was called Rasta and it's called reggae. Huh? You think so them publish it and say, yo, hold on, let me just drop a syllabus and add Marcus Garvey and Emperor Selassie the First inside there, and Mortimer Planner and Brother Owell. And no, them not say that. Them not say that, Stark. If them do that, that means reparation and everything would have been just done. Them said, no, we have to disfigure this. And that's what they've always been about. They're our children, you know. We have to understand that part and stop letting people tell us that there was all different types of humans on this earth. What kind of rubbish that you discredit and disregard God. You disregard the creation. You talk about all these other species and the animal species that man evolved from and all of these things. So who are these people? You know how stupid that thing sound? And then someone want to justify them and who these people is, they don't even have them recognize them to say, yo, tell us about yourselves. Tell us about your development. That's how stupid it sounds. And then it goes back to the other people that said that aliens you understand, unidentified. So these humans that they talk about, some of them that come from animals and you know, monkeys and chimpanzees and gorillas, I mean, why aren't they presenting that tribe, that race, all these different races they speak of? So you see how the things are dumb. That's why these Zionists is saying, and the American ministers in the Senate, they're all saying that Hamas has to be wiped off the face of the earth before anything can happen. And that them I said last night, and that's what them said today. Go on the news and you hear them. And these jackasses come bring them money and give them for Manchester City, PSG, and a few others more, and Newcastle, and so much money they might give them now because them say City violated and they're having all these backdoor conversations. They have to get trophy and everything to Arsenal, but they're not gonna do that. Huh? City pretend that them have a problem, and I told principal, nah. They might look sympathy, right? I know the sympathy card is working. They're gonna be told to, right? Get on your bikes, mate. The sympathy card, and they're gonna come out of this whole charade with shining colors because they have money. And what did the owner say? All these millions that they find them when they were establishing the thing, it's like a drop in the ocean. When I try to tell you, the money don't mean nothing to me. I have too much of it. I have too much of it. Now something broke out in South Africa, and all European them come in and violate the place in one club and do all kind of nasty, filthy thing. my issue with it is why did all these black men, African men, stand about the place and see this kind of degenerate nonsense taking place and did nothing? And now you're trying to make money out to the multimedia platform because when they're using a telephone and camera and so on. But as man, you didn't grab the man them up and arrest them or beat them up and hey, you just make them violate people. Violate people. Some nasty, vulgar stuff is been happening. Nights after night, not just one night. And people are entertaining you all on world news. You know how that makes us look so, everything is making us look sick, not credible. So we are say guidance again.
The children of the past, they'll watch mindful, they always making laughs. Time for the healing, never start the way. Preparation for the suffering, day by day. Why? Woman, you might cry when the sun go down. They can't plantation, make them spiritual. Feed them tired and them sore, but you still a fight for tomorrow. Pick me part for your taste of bread. You must have with me the blood run. But she lift her head and she push on through. The strength of woman of both gold and light shine from its tears tonight. The stars them witness our endless fight. We not go and never break. Freedom coming with patience. Another cotton tree should put our dreams. In the day when the sugar can't steal us. I see that them decide of the bond them strong. Together them right and shout the freedom. If you remember them warrior queens, that's already living with us. From the darkness them rise never fade. The book of history them courage shaded. Light shine from its tears tonight. The stars them witness our endless fight. We not go and never break. Freedom coming with patience. Them a talk hip hop and the TV, but where the justice, where the plea. The ancestors cry out from the grave, but them words gone and them blood still pay. History written in the tears and pain. Them a profit off our women in pain. We are raised fists, but still not shame. Blood from the cotton, let us stay. Dirty, apologize in their hearts. Here's the cause for the truth them mask. The people are wait to hear you say. Sorry for the things that you do every day. Come and dance and I sing the song. But the roots of the tree them around. The office is more than a post. Justice for the one them be up the post. Where the apologize in your hearts. Here's a pause for the truth.
at the plantation rhythm, you know. I tell you. Principal, big up. Gone, guidance.